was up to me, I'd fight them someone from off the street and get an easy win. But they're like, no, you need someone credible. So they went around.
No, you not can do. Because you not can do 1 minute.
Anthony Joshua's latest response to Jake Paul wasn't just a clapback. It was a demolition. A public reminder of the gulf between a world-level heavyweight and a YouTube-grown fighter who's been trying to sprint up a mountain meant to be climbed one brutal step at a time. Joshua mocked Jake after reports of him being knocked out in sparring. And it wasn't playful.
It was the dangers of a late replacement. But then it's like, that's just the mind thinking that. And then it's like, stay professional, stay focused, do your film study, and don't take the guy lightly.
It wasn't lighthearted. It was calculated humiliation. AJ spoke like Jake isn't even on the radar of real fighters. To him, Jake isn't a contender. He's an accident waiting to happen. And Joshua's message was brutally simple. If Jake is getting dropped by sparring partners,
I just don't expect anything from anyone. People are entitled to talk about sparring. People are entitled to not talk about sparring. I just got to make sure that I handle my own corner. And how I'm gonna handle my own corner is do what I do, go out to fight every night. That the dates are put in front of me and just do.
Imagine what happens when a world-class punch actually detonates on his chin. Those sparring clips didn't just expose Jake. They reminded everyone how razor-sharp Anthony Joshua's mindset has become. While Jake scrambles to explain away leaks, clips, and gym rumors, AJ stays.
They go sparring for behind closed doors. Let all the fans see it. Do it in a ring. Get paid for it. I mean, it's be the biggest fight ever. Why do you want to do that? That's nonsense. It's stupid, ridiculous. Want to make the fight? That's the easy.
Calm, disciplined, focused. His tone radiates control. No screaming, no hype, no ego. Just quiet dominance. Joshua trains like a man who's been at the summit, tasted glory, faced adversity, and climbed back. Jake trains like a man trying to convince you that he belongs.
He's a real, I'm not saying he can't fight, I'm not saying he's rubbish, I'm not saying he's useless, but we will see how good he is. And if I'm right in what I'm saying, he'll quit.
And in boxing, that difference is everything. Frank Warren's commentary cut even deeper. As a seasoned promoter who has seen every kind of fighter rise and fall, his take was devastating. Warren questioned the absurdity of Jake risking himself in sparring against people who shouldn't even be touching him clean, let alone knocking him out.
Everybody's got any sparring camp. I personally don't believe that you can actually... The sparring partners he's got right now, they're pushing him to be man.
To a veteran like Warren, Jake's approach looks reckless, almost laughable. Meanwhile, AJ's training isn't reckless at all. It is measured, controlled, scientific. Warren highlighted the difference perfectly. Joshua treats sparring like refinement. Jake treats sparring like a fight he had in
front of him. And I said, look, if you're to believe that he had the best training camp, his legs have gone. And if I've got it wrong,
has to survive. And that alone exposes a gulf that hype cannot hide. Tom Little didn't sugarcoat anything either. His breakdown was surgical. Jake Paul, he said, simply hasn't proven anything at the level required to survive someone like Anthony Joshua. Those sparring knockouts, they weren't freak incidents.
Whatever happened to be exciting?
Does he have the power to knock out Joshua?
No, he hasn't got the power to knock out Joshua.
How does that fight end?
Jake Paul going in an ambulance, bro.
They weren't bad days. They were warnings. Tom argued that if Jake can't stay afloat in a controlled training environment, quitting under real championship pressure isn't just possible. It's probable. Joshua's level reveals everything Jake lacks: timing, composure, toughness, and the ability to remain disciplined when the light.
It'll be the easiest fight of his career. If he wants to get 100 million and not even break sweat, you know, you take the fight. Is it going to enhance his stock as the world's #1 contender? Not at all, because nobody's going to take Jake Paul seriously. But on the other hand, I don't even want to play devil's advocate. What if Joshua hurts this guy, seriously hurts this guy, and puts this guy...
Lights are blinding and the atmosphere suffocating. Derek Chisora came through with his trademark blunt force honesty. Jake Paul doesn't have the power to hurt AJ. Full stop. And that's before you consider the sparring clips that already show cracks in Jake's armor. Those clips didn't just show vulnerability. They exposed the reality that every offensive attempt Jake makes will likely be met with punishment, precision, and physical bullying from a man who has knocked out giants. Chisora made it clear that this isn't trash talk. It's a reality check.
I'm hearing things that he's been dropped in the ring, in the gym and stuff like that, but that's okay too, because I took a couple spills, little slips in the ring and the gym. That's okay, but we're gonna see.
Jake is outclassed on every level, and the outcome, if the fight happens, is almost guaranteed to be brutal and one-sided. Chisora added another layer to the analysis. He pointed out what so many fans overlook. Jake's sparring partners aren't even putting real pressure on him. They aren't world-class. They aren't elite. And yet Jake looks sloppy, tense, reactive, and uncertain. That knockout in sparring wasn't a fluke. It was a symptom of a camp that isn't preparing him for real war. A symptom of pacing, technique, and composure.
Told me he is looking like a beast in camp for this fight, because he would have put everything into this camp. But it doesn't mean that can always translate in a ring when you get to the back end of your career. He's had loads of injuries. He's definitely coming to
that simply aren't there. And Chisora emphasized the most chilling point. The gap between hype and reality is dangerous. Jake isn't being groomed for elite combat. He's being groomed for content. Johnny Nelson took it a step further, exposing the technical decay that the sparring footage hinted at. Jake's legs are shot, Nelson said. His foundation is gone. Even a perfect camp wouldn't hide it, because footwork and stamina are non-negotiable at AJ's level. And when your legs go, everything goes. Defense collapses. Power weakens. Reaction time slows.
You can't fight like fucking stiff. He's going to be fighting like this, and he's going to be shit. Yeah. Bro, I come in and I was just, hand was low and lazy, and I was just waiting for you, boom.
Nelson stressed that Jake's deficiencies in these areas aren't minor. They're fatal. The hype doesn't just fail to cover these issues. It magnifies them. Duke McKenzie approached the situation with the eye of a purist. He highlighted the absurdity of Jake stepping up to someone like Anthony Joshua. The payday might be huge, but the danger is even bigger. McKenzie said that Jake's sparring knockout already shows he's nowhere near ready for world-class punishment. Against Joshua, a single clean shot could cause serious trouble. The fantasy around Jake collapses the moment reality in the shape of a heavyweight right.
If I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go.
Hand arrives. Shannon Briggs offered something different. Perspective. He acknowledged Jake's knockouts in sparring, but framed them as part of the learning process. Even Briggs slipped and made mistakes early in his career. But even in his encouragement, there was a shadow of skepticism. Shannon's repetition of, "We're going to see," hinted that these weren't small setbacks. They were warnings. Against someone like AJ, those types of errors aren't just exposed. They're magnified. Brutally. Eddie Hearn's assessment was brutally straightforward. Jake Paul is slowing down. His recent performances highlight limitations that even his fans can't deny anymore. The sparring knockout was just a symptom of deeper issues: stamina, timing, defensive awareness, and ring IQ. Hearn didn't sugarcoat it. Jake struggles even against subpar sparring partners. And when a fighter slows in training,
the Joshua thing is crazy.
Is that a real conversation?
Jake's a fucking lunatic, and it's probably real. I saw Joshua knock out Francis Ngannou, and the guy was like out cold for 5 minutes. And this is a guy who had never been knocked down, let alone knocked out.
If he steps in the ring with him, and actually a bell rings and there are punches thrown, every bit of Jake Paul is not a real boxer conversation is gone forever.
It often signals disaster when the bell rings for real. Tony Bellew pulled no punches either. He dissected Jake's stiffness, low guard, and fatal bad habits exposed in sparring. Bellew said those flaws aren't small problems. They're disasters waiting to happen against someone like Joshua. Timing, reflexes, and positioning are everything at the elite level. Bellew even admitted that if he sparred Jake casually, he could exploit those weaknesses without trying. And when you're fighting someone like AJ, those gaps don't stay gaps. They become consequences. Tommy Fury delivered one of the most stinging breakdowns of all. He hammered home the sheer gap in skill, experience, and physicality between AJ and Jake Paul. Even with handicaps, Tommy said, AJ could get Jake out of there almost instantly. That wasn't disrespect. It was a statement of reality. Every expert pointed to the same storyline. Jake's technical flaws, shaky legs.
So I told Anthony, I already messaged Anthony, I was like, listen, I tell you what, I said to AJ, if this goes past 5 rounds, everybody's gonna be having a go at you because you can't go past 5 rounds with this kid. It has to go past 1 round or 2 rounds. Past beyond 4 or 5 rounds, people are gonna be doubting you as a fighter himself. So he has to smoke him out like what he did Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia in one.
Stamina issues and lack of real experience make him dangerously unprepared for elite competition. Against AJ, every mistake becomes a moment of danger. And then came Logan Paul, whose take was perhaps the most chilling because it came from inside Jake's circle. Logan didn't sugarcoat anything. He said AJ is a verified knockout artist who can obliterate even the toughest undefeated fighters. Francis Ngannou being unconscious for 5 minutes wasn't a highlight. It was a warning. Logan reminded everyone that Jake's persona, fame, and bravado dissolve the second he stands across from a heavyweight killer like Joshua. The phrase, every bit of the Jake Paul isn't a real boxer conversation, cut deep. Logan essentially admitted that the illusion breaks the moment real danger starts. Derek Chisora wrapped everything together with a scathing analysis. He emphasized that Jake cannot survive more than a handful of rounds, and that's being generous. Chisora referenced,
It's a dangerous fight. Of course, it's a dangerous fight. But I'm not here to be there selling their show. I've got no interest in the fighters from that perspective. I just think that he is a licensed boxer. He trains. He knows what he's getting involved with. He's not an idiot. And he knows what he's going to be up against, but he must believe in himself to do.
Joshua's one-round destructions of athletes far more powerful than Jake could ever hope to be. His message was simple. This isn't an experiment. It's a publicly televised execution waiting to happen. Chisora stressed the psychological collapse that would come with even trying to survive. Under real world-class pressure, Jake's confidence evaporates. Finally, Frank Warren gave a balanced yet chilling view. He acknowledged Jake isn't clueless. He knows the risks. But awareness doesn't bridge the gap between social media fame and championship pedigree. Confidence doesn't protect you from knockout power. Belief doesn't stop a right hand. Warren's tone was measured, but the implication was brutal. Jake is walking into a scenario where overconfidence meets reality head-on. Layer by layer, clip by clip, expert by expert, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Jake Paul is dangerously outmatched. Every breakdown points to the same conclusion. This isn't a YouTube fight. It's a boxing reality check.